What's up, everybody? Smooth Cosplayer here, your favorite salsa dancing cosplayer. Today I wanted to do a little bit of myth busting, tackling one of my favorite myths in the world. It is a myth that I love to hate because it's so ridiculous, and that is the myth of the fake geek girl. Let me just kind of paint a picture for you here and show you guys what kind of got me going down this path here. This is actually a video I meant to do a while back because the situation that sparked it was at Dragon Con back in September. So the situation itself was a positive one. So Sunday at Dragon Con, I'm hanging out at the back of the Hilton where all the photo shoots happen, and I see a group of 4 awesome, beautiful, geeky young ladies dressed all as X-Men characters, and y'all know how much I love X-Men, so I dropped everything I was doing to go get a picture. So we had 4 young ladies here. One, CC the Geek, you guys have seen her on a video of mine before. She was cosplaying as Jubilee. Hey J-ish on Instagram, she was dressed as a Journeyman of Gambit. We have Beautiful Disaster as Domino from Deadpool 2, and another young lady, I forget her name, but I'll put her Instagram information in the description. She was dressed as Storm. So I got my picture. Another guy, Nady Nukes, big shout out to Nady Nukes. He does a lot of great con photography. He took the same, not the same picture, he took a picture of the same group, but right before or right after mine, because they had a different pose. So his picture and my picture as well, they both kind of got a lot of traction on social media, blew up and everything. Now, another associate of mine, cosplay buddy of mine, he took Nate's picture and made a meme out of it. And he was doing a little myth busting himself with this meme. So that meme goes like this: black girls aren't into nerdy things, maybe not the ones you're cool with. And like I said, he's busting another myth himself. I'm not gonna go too far into that one just because that myth is one that it's a lot to unpack with that. That's just fuel for another video for another time. But suffice it to say, there's this misconception that no black women like nerdy things. There are black women who like nerdy things. There are black women who don't like nerdy things. Just like there are men and women alike of all backgrounds, demographics, races, so on and so forth that do and don't like nerdy things. So it's really people just making a non-thing into a thing. Like, there are black women out there, plenty of them actually, who like nerdy things. So he was taking a shot at all the my fellow black male nerds who think that there are no black women who like the same things that they do. It's just not a thing. All right. So his meme, of course, picked up a lot of traction, got a lot of love as well. Someone who reposted that meme, they reposted on Instagram, and then someone got sideways in their comments. So there was this comment that went like this: still doesn't prove anything. Some black chicks just fall into whatever is trending at the time. I'd have to have a convo with her to see if she's true. So that comment, the second half of that comment, I'm going to address the whole comment, but the second half is what led me to today's topic. So the myth of the fake nerd girl or the fake geek girl. Fake geek girls do not exist, period. They're not out there. The only reason that people think they do is because of a concept called gatekeeping. This is something I've made a video about before. I'm just very against gatekeeping. As a former gatekeeper myself, I've seen the error of my ways. I don't do that anymore. It's just pointless. Like, for some weird reason, we geeks feel like we have the authority to check somebody else's geek card, which is what this person in this comment was doing. Oh, side note, the person who made that comment was not a guy. I was expecting it to be a guy, but yeah, it was a woman. And I have an equal amount of disdain for men and women who try to geek check women, but I have the same amount, but a different flavor of disdain for women who do it, because I'm like, why would you hate on your fellow woman? Like, it's already hard enough for women out there because of sexism and everything, but why would you feed that fire? Why would you add gasoline to that fire? Anyway, but yeah, a lot of geeks feel like they get the authority to decide who does and does not get to be a geek. There's this this conception that being a geek is an all in or none kind of thing. Like, if you're not completely drowning in the deep end of geekery, if you don't have X amount of experience points, if you haven't watched every episode of that fandom, if you don't know every ounce of minor trivia of that fandom, then you're not in. Like, they think it's a black and white thing, and it's not. There are levels to this. Like, people can be different levels of geeks. People can like things at different to different degrees. Like, you don't have to be all the way in to be considered a geek, at least in my opinion anyway. Like, and also, we all started somewhere. We all were not geeks before, and then we became geeks, and now, you know, we're wherever we're at in our geeky journey. You know, way too many geeks act as if they came out their mama's vagina already being an expert at their fandom and already being a geek. That was not the case, contrary to popular belief. So the only reason, again, that fake geeks exist. Well, okay, let me just stop there. Fake geek girls, because nobody accuses men of being fake geeks. You know, you're a man and you like something geeky, you automatically get considered a geek. Nobody geek checks you. Nobody quizzes you to see if you're real. Nobody just starts asking you a bunch of questions. Like, it's straight up sexism. It's sexism. That's all it is. So nobody does that to men. But as soon as a woman decides she wants to be a geek, now it's, oh, we got to make sure she's real. We got to make sure that she's really down for the cause. No, you don't. You don't get to do that. You don't have the authority to do that. You're not keeping that gate. You're not getting paid to keep a gate. And the people who make these fandoms don't want a gate, because if there's a gate, that means there's less revenue for them to keep making the stuff that we like. So again, that is the only reason that quote unquote fake geeks or fake geek girls exist, is because of these fast moving flaming hoops that other geeks put up to make other people jump through in order to be a real geek. So let me address the other part of that comment. So she says, still doesn't prove anything. Some black chicks just fall into whatever is trending at the time. Let me explain something, y'all. Let me break this all the way down. Nobody, male or female, or whatever else you identify as, nobody is doing any of this just to be trendy. Okay, that's not a thing. For example, all four of those ladies who were in that picture that I showed y'all earlier, I know for a fact that they all came to DragonCon. DragonCon is in Atlanta, Georgia, Labor Day weekend. They all came from out of town. So first of all, they spent their Labor Day weekend when they could have been doing anything else in Atlanta at a geek convention. Two, they all came from out of town. That means that there was travel involved. That means that either they road trip, you know, they got in their car, they got in somebody else's car, got in with them, and they road trip for several hours. They spent money on food, they spent X amount of money on gas, wear and tear on their car, mileage on their car, food for the weekend, being cooped up in the car for X amount of hours. Or if they didn't do that, they flew in, which means they spent a couple of $100s on airfare. Then once you get there, you know, unless they're lucky enough to have friends that live there. And even then, if they live there, then most likely they're not living around the corner from the convention. So that means they spent gas money getting to and from that person's place to the convention. They spent $20 to $30 a day in parking, because parking is ridiculous in downtown Atlanta during DragonCon. And so there's that if they stayed with a friend. Now, if they didn't stay with somebody local, that means they split a hotel room. I assume split, because ain't nobody balling that much to pay for a hotel, or at least not the main 3 hotels at DragonCon. Nobody is doing that solo. Nobody's making that much money. But even if you're not making that much money and you're splitting a hotel room with somebody, you're still paying a few, if not several $100s for hotel fare for the whole weekend. And if you were the person who booked the room, that means you also went through the rigmarole of entering what is essentially a lottery to get a room at DragonCon. Like most medium-sized or smaller cons, you just go to the website, you book your room, bam, you're done. No, not at DragonCon. When DragonCon ends, A month or two after that, the rooms open up at those hotels, and you basically get in line. You have to get queued up, and just hope that your internet connection doesn't get lost. Hope that nothing goes wrong with your computer. Hope that their system didn't crash. Hope that nothing else fluky went wrong and that bumps you to the back of the line. It's really a freaking crapshoot to get a room for Dragon Con. So me, I don't even bother with that. I basically I wait until I find some friends who got a room and say, hey, you got room? Let me get in. Let's split it. So if you booked the room, you went through all that rigmarole. Then you're paying money for food for the whole weekend. You also pay, if you bought your weekend pass. I assume you buy a weekend pass if you are out of town, because if you're from out of town, you're not paying for just one day. So you are paying, if you bought your pass right after the last Dragon Con, you're probably spending like $80. If you bought your pass last minute, you're probably spending $160, $170, $180. I forget the prices. But so you spent that much on a full pass. Then if you're cosplaying, regardless of how elaborate or not your costume is, you spent some kind of money and some kind of effort on that. All of that, those young ladies did not do all of that just to be trendy, okay? And let me address some other comments that are similar, because a lot of people will say, oh, you're just doing this just for attention, or specifically, you're just doing this for male attention. Male attention, female attention, whoever you're attracted to, nobody is doing that for anybody else's attention. There are a whole lot less expensive, a whole lot more efficient ways you can get attention from somebody than doing all of that. Nobody's doing all of that for the whole weekend just to get attention, just to get likes, just to be trendy. Nobody's doing that. Nobody in their right mind is doing that. So y'all drop these myths, drop this crazy logic that women are doing it just to get likes, doing it just to get attention, doing it just to be trendy, or that they're just not geeky enough for you, okay? You don't set that standard. You don't get to make those rules. You don't get to keep them out of geekery. So yes, there is no such thing as a fake geek girl. And just in case I'm wrong, because there's exceptions to everything, how does that hurt you? How does that hurt you? If there actually is a fake geek girl out there, how is it negatively affecting you other than maybe a little bit of annoyance? It really ain't hurting you. And if it is hurting you, and I'm speaking specifically to some of the women out there, because some of the women will hate on other nerd girls. Oh, you're making it so much harder for us real nerd girls. The only reason it's making it harder for you is because you subscribe to that idea in the beginning that I said, where you think there are certain standards that have to be met to be a geek. That's the only reason that it makes it hard for you. That's the only reason it hurts you. So that's it. Like I said, fake geek girls don't exist. Don't argue with me. No, I'm joking. I hate when people say that. I'm just joking. But that's it. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good time. Whatever con you're going to next, good luck on your cosplay builds. Please hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share button. And I will see y'all at the next video. Peace.